just my last piece of advice would be is to not wait on the next opportunity, create the next opportunity. So don't be afraid, you guys, as you're learning this B-roll and this editing and all the things that you're learning, create it on your own.
Hey guys, we get a treat today. We're going to be talking about B-roll for your documentary making. Our guest graduated from Georgia State University and actually spent some time with Good Morning America. What's cool is he's actually here. He's a really young guy for Channel 21 coming out of Fort Wayne as a news broadcaster. But here's the thing, he loves telling stories. And what's great is he's like, yeah, I wanted to share my insight on getting good B-roll towards making those documentaries for those kids because he really loved it and wants to share that passion with you. So without further ado, here we go. As a story maker, as a person who finds stories and displays them, B-roll is essential in your job, yes?
Yes.
Could you define for the class, what is B-roll to you?
B-roll, I would say, is definitely footage to help tell the story, but I feel that B-roll is all about anything technically can be B-roll. Any footage that you slap on a story can be B-roll. What I like to do when I'm shooting B-roll is how can what I'm shooting help me to tell the story visually? This is a technique that I like to use personally. Not everyone uses this. Sometimes, things work for different people. I like to, because if I begin to build like my script of what I want to say, what kind of voiceover I want to put, what can I use around that will allow me to help tell that story visually? So an example, I did a story the other day. It was involving the Embassy Theater here downtown. And I was asking her, about how are you guys coping and dealing with shows and reschedulings and refunds and cancellations and people, how are you going to stay open? And when I was, interviewing her, she mentioned how, their Broadway series are one of the hardest to reschedule. When I was there, I seen a stand and a kind of, billboard that kind of had a big, poster that kind of had the different Broadway shows that they were going to do. So I said, okay, let me shoot some of that. Let me get some pictures of this Broadway show, that Broadway show, that Broadway show. I asked about refunds and ticket sales. So I was like, okay, I've got to shoot the box office. Let me get the outside of the theater, showing it that the doors are closed. So it begins to help me think, okay, as I tell this story, what are things that I can shoot so that I can, when I say things visually, it matches up with my words. So when I say ticket sales or refunds, I can show the box office and then I can zoom into the tickets. I think that it's great when you have a shot that is that's a wide shot, but then you get a closer shot of that. So if I shoot the classroom, let me shoot one of the chairs. You want people to be able to watch a story and kind of follow along if they weren't even able to hear it.
Boil it down. What is your best piece of advice when it comes to gathering B-roll?
I think the first thing is always overshoot. Even if you might not use it, you might not know if you're going to use it or not, always overshoot. Find things and just shoot it. It might be, a logo is over here, but it might be different over here just because it's behind the desk. Or this logo might be different because it's at the top of the building. Shoot, people working. Shoot, cars going. But if you shoot the cars going, then maybe you want to shoot the tires of the cars. Just always overshoot and find different angles of the same picture. So the subject doesn't even have to move, but if you shoot something from a different angle, that helps to tell a story in a totally different way just because it's a different perspective. Say you're at your desk working and I shoot you from the front, typing and working on your computer. If I come around and shoot you from the back, that just shows, okay, this is their desk. This is the type of person that they are. This is what they see. Now I can see what they see versus what I would see if I normally just walked into the room. If I know you said the students are doing a documentary about kind of COVID-19. So you may not have footage of, inside of the hospital, but you may go outside of some sort of clinic, and you don't even have to leave your car. I did a story the other day where I had to get some B-roll of a nursing home. I sat in my car, set the camera on the window. It was snowing outside, set the camera on the window and shot from there. That allowed me to be safe. I was able to do it quickly because I just drove around to different parts of the building. And that's what I mean by just finding creative ways, to tell your story in things that you don't even realize would be able to help tell your story.
Do something interesting with the camera.
Do something interesting with the camera, and don't be afraid. Take it. One of my mentors always told me, take the camera off the tripod. The camera doesn't always have to be steady cam on the tripod, getting one view, you turn or walk with the tripod. Maybe you might put it on a mailbox. You might shoot inside of the mailbox. You might shoot an upward shot of the sky and of the sun. You know, don't be afraid to put the camera on your shoulder. Don't be afraid to put the camera in front of your face and not just have it on a tripod.
Wherever your eyes look, pay attention to that, and maybe point and do camera work just how your eyes are noticing things.
Yes.
It's not always a wide shot. Go ahead.
Be very careful when you guys are shooting. Be very careful with your zooming in. Our eyes, when we're looking at things, our eyes don't zoom how on your phone you can zoom, or how a camera you can just press a dial and it zooms. Our eyes don't do that. Eyes, we either blink and we're here, or we blink and we're there. We don't so if you're gonna take a wide shot, record the wide shot for maybe 10, 15 seconds, stop the film, then zoom in and do it. When you go somewhere and you shoot, it's okay to have 30 clips worth of something, because when you go back in editing, what I like to do is I'll name each clip, because who knows when I need to go back and forth. So if I shoot the Broadway sign, I go back and I type in Broadway. If I did a close-up, I'll type in Broadway close-up. If I did an exterior, I'll just type exterior. But that way I can easily look instead of having to go back and forth and see, that's clip 97832. That's clip 97822.
Right. Yeah.
It helps your editing in so many ways. And if it's a bad clip, you can just say don't use. If it's interview one, or interviewed Carol.
Tell me, you're getting a little bit ahead of us here. That's next week. That's next week. But great insight. I love that. I love that.
Use it for next week.
Okay.
Once you do that teaser, please feel free to send it over to me. I know you recorded this. Please feel free. If you can share it with me, I would love it. But I really appreciate the opportunity, Jordan. It was great meeting you. Yeah. And people really like that story. People really were liking to hear about the students doing this radio show and continuing, and it inspired a lot of people even at our stations.